Head over to patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps and sign up for my free content page, where I'll be interacting with you, doing live streams, posting exclusive content, sending out newsletters, and dropping a major limited series podcast exclusively for Patreon members later this year. That's patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. You're enjoying another sunny day in Florida when one of your neighbors shows up on your lawn screaming about Lucifer and God's will. The situation turns tense and violent as deputies show up. And then suddenly, things take an extreme, murderous, cult-like turn as other members of the clan emerge, dressed like commandos and armed for an ambush. My name is M. William Phelps. I'm an investigative journalist and the true crime author of close to 50 books. I've dedicated the past 20 years of my life to helping families of the missing and murdered. Join me next for a Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps shortcut. I've got an interesting case for you here. This one is, wow. I don't know how to explain this one in a couple of words without just getting into it. It's an odd thing, human behavior. And nothing surprises me much anymore, especially when I hear that whatever it is took place in Florida. The oddest crimes seem to be connected back to the Sunshine State in some way. And I don't mean this as a diss to that great state. It's just a fact. Florida? Boy, all bets off. Can anyone argue with me on that point? Eustis, Florida is north of Orlando, heading toward the Ocala National Forest. Never heard of it? Me neither. It's in Lake County, an area of Florida I have, however, conducted a lot of murder work in. Some county residents live in mobile homes, but not in mobile home park communities per se. They instead have their mobile homes parked on swatches of land next door to ranch-style houses and even farms. There's lots of those big, huge trees with the moss hanging almost down to and touching the ground in this part of the state. Lots of ferns, lots of half-dead palms and marshy areas. There's no question you are in the Deep South here. On August 2nd, 2024, the Lake County Sheriff's Office receives a call close to 8 p.m. The caller requests immediate assistance. And this is a part where I mean, expect anything in Florida. The caller says one of his neighbors, a woman, is on his property trespassing, and she is actively assaulting his wife, his father, and several other family members. The caller, looking out his window, watching the woman beating on several family members, names the woman Julie Sulpizio, he says. He knows her. She keeps doing this, he tells 911. So this isn't some one-off. It is something Julie Sulpizio has been engaged in before. But today, she seems more out of her mind than usual. And here's the only in Florida part. Julie, as she is assaulting her neighbors, is also yelling at them, calling them sinners, screaming, "I know what you did. I know what you did." She then tosses in a few Lucifer and Satan references, perhaps for good measure. You all get the picture. There's a wild woman screaming, talking about God, talking about Satan, and she's directing her violent temper toward her neighbors. So the situation is escalating. When law enforcement arrives, Julie says, "I am Helen under God's will." She walks toward the deputy with her hands concealed behind her back. She has a crazed look on her face. She's smiling. As Julie heads in the direction of the deputy, he warns her to calm down and stay back. "Show me your hands." One of the family members Julie was attacking holds out his arm to stop Julie from moving any closer to the deputy, who now has his hand on his weapon. While Julie pushes through the outstretched hand of her neighbor, the deputy unholsters his taser. And we've all seen those videos of a wild person pursuing a cop only to be thrust to the ground instantly by 50 to 100,000 volts of shock electricity. Those videos are pretty damn funny, actually. Some dude or some Karen won't stop, continues not to listen to the commands of a cop, and bang, the taser comes out, fires, and they drop like a puppet whose strings have been chopped, their body convulsing on the ground. I think we can all appreciate an I told you so moment of, you kind of deserve that, you asshole. Julie apparently gets the memo because when she sees the deputy brandish his taser, she stops and takes a few steps back. Situation seems to be calming down. After everyone is a bit more at ease, the deputy tries to sort out what happened. Why is Julie Sulpizio so uptight and so agitated? They are committing pedophilia, she says. I am Helen, she repeats. Then she approaches a neighbor, getting all up in her grill, and says this. Who is your God? Julie is in heaven. You see, the thing is, we need to trick Lucifer because you, and she points into the neighbor's face, are one of them. The deputy tells Julie, let's just chill here. Relax a little bit. Let's figure this out. But Julie continues. See, we needed to trick the evil to come out. Doesn't make sense. I want to prosecute, the neighbor says. I've been trying to get her to walk back to her house, and now she's getting violent. Julie butts in. You walked in front of me. I was headed that way. The neighbor says, we are not moving. So now we have a standoff. I might say here more seriously, Julie has a plan. Michael Sulpizio, her husband, is lying in wait. Julie's job is to lure the neighbors closer to their home nearby so Michael and their two daughters can ambush them. Michael is awaiting the arrival of the Darks, Julie says, so he can kill them. It is our mission. She says this in front of the deputy. One neighbor tells the deputy, she wants us to walk in front of her house, but we don't trust her. You think? Wait, a neighbor says. Is Michael okay? Oh, you see, Julie responds. He is the one who sent me down here. He did he? The neighbor shouts, as the situation seems to once again rise to an escalating pitch. Yes, Julie screams. My husband, God, come to my house and see. Julie then looks up into the sky. Michael, I am coming. And she begins walking toward the neighbor hurriedly. He puts out his hands to stop her, but Julie pushes his hands away aggressively. The deputy takes a step back and flicks on his taser switch, which makes a high-pitched warning sound while releasing a flashing strobe light. He points it at Julie. Julie crosses her arms over her chest and begins heading toward the deputy. Referencing the strobing light, she says over and over, "That's God's light," and she laughs. So close to the deputy now that he can reach out and touch her, Julie continues with the God stuff. And as she encroaches upon the deputy's personal space, he sticks out an arm to redirect her away from him, and Julie dramatically falls to the ground on her back. Let's just get a mental picture of Julie for a minute. She has this sun-drenched, pudgy face and long, thick gray and black hair, wild and going off in all directions. She's 49 years old, but looks much older. Julie is part of a God-based Doomsday-style group consisting of her husband Michael, and 2 adopted adult daughters. A mini-cult, I guess I'd call them. By now, several additional deputies have arrived. The deputy dealing with Julie is warning her, "Stay down," pointing his taser while she is still on the ground. A command of which Julie, laughing, is not listening to. Then the deputy holsters his taser, grabs his handcuffs, gets one cuff onto Julie's right wrist, and takes control of the situation. As he is doing that, Julie screams, "Let's do this now. I can feel him. Michael, Gabriel, Timothy. It's time now to protect my children." Another deputy just arriving runs up, grabs hold of Julie, and gets both cuffs on her. They call into emergency services and explain they have a suspect, and what the affidavit of this case says is an altered mental state. Julie is taken directly to the hospital. Let's take our only break of the episode here. I've been kind of tongue-in-cheek so far because this situation seemed at first to be another one of those Florida stories of somebody off their freaking rocker, whacked on bath salts or some other hardcore drug. But this case is not funny in any way and is about to become extremely violent and deadly. Be right back. With Julie Sulpizio on her way to the county hospital for a psych evaluation, the first deputy on scene explains to his colleagues what transpired. Mainly, that Julie was trying to lure her neighbors over to her mobile home, which raises the concern level for law enforcement. They know Julie's husband and 2 daughters are inside the Sulpizio residence, or at least on the property somewhere. Were they waiting for the neighbors under an ambush type of situation, as the neighbors and Julie herself had implied? The sheriff's office decides to send several deputies over to the property to check things out. Something feels off with the situation. Julie seems mentally unstable. It doesn't excuse her behavior, but puts it into a bit of context. The other possibility they have to consider is that Julie killed her family before stepping out to attack her neighbors. She was talking all of that God stuff, and Michael was in heaven already, and so they do not know what is going on over at that house. Before law enforcement arrived, Julie had in fact choked one of the neighbors. Julie referred to them all as, quote, the blacks. She tells law enforcement the comment is, quote, in reference to having sin versus whites being without sin. So this self-proclaimed religious sect is rooted in racism, which is horrible, absolutely disgusting. This is who Julie Sulpizio is, a crazed racist. Hiding under the banner of God. How many times have we seen this movie? A sergeant and several additional deputies arrive at Julie's mobile home near 8:15 p.m. They bang on the front door. Is anyone in the house still alive? No one answers. They bang again. Then one of the deputies, looking through a window, sees the shadowy images of 3 adults dart by his line of sight inside the house. One of them actually looked directly at the deputy. Another deputy, walking around the yard, at one point calls the others over. He's found something. 2 of the Sulpizio's dogs are lying on the ground, dead. As they go in for a closer look, 4 loud noises startle them, and they head in that direction. They soon come to an open window with the screen kicked out. Julie had said, the deputy tells his colleagues, that Michael was with God in heaven, but it appears there are people alive here and hiding from law enforcement inside the house. They call for additional units and decide to wait it out, all with this gut feeling something is about to go down or somebody has already been hurt. Hold the perimeter, the sergeant is told. So they move their cruisers into a better position, turn on the lights, and kind of get behind the cruisers. We've all seen this. Standoff. Waco, David Koresh, any number of cult stories. This always seems to be the case. It's 8:30 p.m. now and dark. Using the PA system from one of the vehicles, the sergeant calls into the house. As he does this, the other deputies discuss the dead dogs. They think their throats might have been slit. And also, how one of the neighbors had reported that a few days before, Michael Sulpizio had yelled at their children, "Next time I see you, I'm going to shoot you." The sergeant attempts to make contact with them by phone next, but there's no answer. After about a half hour, the sergeant receives orders to take 3 deputies and try to get inside the house, see what the hell is going on. The back door is closest to where they are positioned and appears to be the main entrance. The 4 of them walk in quietly and slowly, weapons drawn. The laundry room leads into an intersecting hallway. Once there, you can go left or right. One deputy goes right, the sergeant goes left. The 2 others stay put. As the deputy steps across a threshold leading into another room, there is a man there, in front of him, dressed in all black, wearing body armor. But the deputy has his back turned toward the man, and he doesn't see him right away. It's his body camera capturing this eerie image. The man standing silently in body armor has a rifle in his hand. It's Michael Sulpizio. No sooner does the deputy step over the threshold and into the room, exposing his body, do multiple shots ring out as Michael Sulpizio begins firing at the deputy, hitting him in the back. The deputy turns quickly after being shot, falls to the floor, and is able to, incredibly, fire several rounds as he hits the ground. One of the other deputies is struck in his wrist by an unaimed projectile fired from the gun Michael Sulpizio still holds in his hands. The other deputies are forced to retreat out of the house because of the gunfire. The deputy shot in the back can barely move, but he manages to pull himself and crawl toward the doorway. Exhausted, he can't do it anymore and goes for his weapon to protect himself, quickly realizing he had spent every round. Just then, as he is reaching for his radio to call the others, someone in the house walks over and unloads several rounds into him. Michael and his 2 daughters then train their weapons toward those outside and begin firing. Deputies outside, with additional backup in place, spray the entire house with gunfire. The deputy hit in the wrist is taken to the hospital. He'll be okay. Law enforcement supervisors on scene try to negotiate for the release of their wounded brother inside the house. Michael Sulpizio says, "No way, not happening." As this is going on, the wounded and dying officer's body cam records everything. At one point, one of Michael and Julie's daughters screams from inside the house, "My king will kill all of you. You are Lucifer's children." The SWAT team arrives. They head into the house behind a ballistic shield, heavily armed, ready to do battle. They extract the dying deputy from the home as a hail of gunfire is exchanged. Over the next several hours, the standoff continues. After being airlifted to the local hospital, the wounded deputy is pronounced dead. Michael Sulpizio and his 2 daughters just killed a law enforcement officer. Not killed. Executed. Ambushed. However way you want to put it. Close to midnight, as both sides seemingly plan their next move, the team outside hears 3 consecutive gunshots come from within the house. Michael and his 2 daughters have killed themselves. Inside the house, they find a cache of weapons, some 20 guns, enough ammo to wage a small war, gas masks, body armor, medical bags ready to treat a host of ailments and injuries, more bottled water than anyone would ever need to keep on hand, and piles of anti-government propaganda. Your basic end times cult starter kit necessities. They later interviewed Julie, the only surviving member, and she tells them there is an additional body underneath the house. Michael, she says, had trapped the guy about a week prior. Julie is charged with death caused by a criminal act where a premeditated murder occurred, attempted murder, and a host of other crimes. His name was Master Deputy Bradley Link. Deputies Stefano Gargano and Harold Howell were also injured. Deputy Bradley Link was 28 years old when Michael Sulpizio and his two daughters murdered him. Link is a U.S. Army Reserves veteran and served with the Lake County Sheriff's Office for 4.5 years and the Polk County Sheriff's Office for 2 years. He left behind his wife, father, mother, brother, and sister. The guy was a hero in every sense of the word. Blindsided and ambushed by a coward. One of the more troubling parts of this case, beyond the obvious, happened inside the house as Deputy Link was on the floor. Link's phone rang. One of Julie's and Michael's daughters picked it up. "Who is this?" "I'm Brad's wife. Who are you?" "So you say that you are supposedly the dead man's wife," the daughter says. Not long after this, Michael and his two daughters discussed suicide and killed themselves. All of it captured on Deputy Link's body cam. The idea that Bradley Link's wife had to go through this is unconscionable. I have no words for this case and the Sulpizio family. The hate in their hearts, the death wish in their souls, all disguised under God. It's sickening. Julie Sulpizio faces the death penalty. As of this recording, she has been evaluated and the court has ruled she is competent to stand trial. That'll do it for this shortcut. I'll be back soon with another. Be safe, be aware, and be alert. Officer Down memorial page. 6-page State of Florida versus Julianne Sulpizio affidavit for probable cause. That's where all the details were. Crossing the Line is executive produced by M. William Phelps, LLC, and Matthew Valentinus, Mom's Basement Management. Written by me, M. William Phelps. Audio mastering and mixing by Matt Russell. Music by Epidemic Sound. Original music written and performed by Thomas Mooney, Tom Phelps, and Matt Russell.